Yes, these bangs are a little off and kooky. I fixed them just a couple minutes ago because I didn't realize I hadn't done the bangs on this wig yet and I'm running out of time. Okie pokey weirdos, I'm Rev and welcome to my world of cosplay shenaniganery. Today I am going to explain to you how I managed to make my Sesshoumaru costume out of a thrifted clown costume in 2016. And then I will explain how I would prefer to make the costume now. So let's go from head to toe and see how I made Sesshoumaru from Inuyasha in 2016. At the very top, we have the wig. This wig is actually going to get Frankensteined into something else, so don't be too harsh on this one. The wig I wore for the pictures from 2016 was a cheap Party City wig. Later on at IndieK, one of my friends let me borrow her high quality white wig that worked really well for the cosplay, so I have these pictures also. And I was ever so grateful that she let me borrow her wig. Now I have a very decently large wig collection, and I'm planning on Frankensteining this one into a wig for Sesshoumaru. But this one, however, is only one layer. It is very long, but I have 3 of them, and I'm going to layer them all together so he has an extra thick, luscious mane. And for a little sneak peek, the ears. The ears that I originally made were pieces that I cut out of liquid latex that I had layered over again and again and again, and then I cut out the shape that I wanted. These ears are cheap, prosthetic, dinky little things. When I go to update it, I would prefer to get high quality elfy ears so that he can have some pointed ears. Continuing down the costume, we have the Mokomoko, or the fluffy thing that hangs out on his right shoulder. Mokomoko is translated to fluffy or fuzzy, except you're saying it twice, so you have fluffy fluffy, or as my family calls it, fluffy fuzzy. Sesshoumaru wears this thing over his right shoulder, and it is a sign of nobility or high status because back in the day, if you had that much fur hanging out on your body, it meant you had plenty of money to pay for somebody to skin that thing and turn it into a wearable garment. The way I made it in 2016 was I took a thrifted white fluffy blanket, cut it out into the shape that I needed, and then stuffed it with the remainder of the fluffy blanket as well as polyfill, sewed that up, but then hot glued the bottom tail end of it because I didn't feel like trying to make stitches that would hide in that very thin fur. For the tail of the Mokomoko, I also sewed on a little piece of Velcro to help stick it to the back of my pant leg so it wouldn't be dragging on the ground at a convention. Next is the gray armor along his shoulders. I made this out of EVA foam, cardboard, and poster board. The foam I used in 2016 was actually cheap kids craft foam. I had to use multiple pieces to wrap it all the way around my body, but that became one piece, and then I could build out the shoulder. Shoulder. His Mokomoko is on the right. The little hooked shoulder piece is on the left. I gotta keep this straight. I'm too gay to keep that straight. So one big looped piece around my torso, and then the shoulder curved piece. All of these kids' craft foam pieces I backed with poster board to keep it a little more sturdy. Then I hot glued spiraled cones to make all of the pointy bits. Once that whole piece was together, I spray painted it gray. It definitely needed a heat seal. I did not know that at the time. And of course now it's chipping because it's been years and it's had probably 4 coats of spray paint since the first 5 that it got the first time I did this cosplay. The tassels are a whole bunch of layers of dark red yarn. Tied them together, looped them around the kid's craft foam armor, good to go. The way I attach this armor is on the inside on the back of all of the kids' craft foam. At the parts where it touches my torso, I put Velcro so that I'd have a corresponding Velcro piece to the shirt. Speaking of the shirt and pants were actually a thrifted clown costume. I found one where the pom-poms were falling off, all of the ruffles and pieces were coming apart, and that was perfect for me because all I had after I ripped off all of the accessories that were already falling off was a solid white outfit. It was also absolutely massive on me, which meant that the top was very easily turned into a wrap top, so it was easy to get it to cross over the body and still have excess fabric. I also used Velcro to get that to stay over my right side. The base shirt was also where all of the other Velcro attachments went because I didn't have any snaps or buttons that worked very well at the time, and Velcro was the easiest that made sense in my brain. So that is how everything else is attached on this costume. As for the sleeves, he has those very long, draping kimono-esque sleeves. And the way I made them for the 2016 costume was I took scrap fabric left over from my failed attempt at making a Luffy shirt and hot glued them to the existing sleeves that were more tightly fitted. And then I puffy painted the hexagonal cherry blossom-esque shapes onto the red pieces, also including the shoulder. And I did a little research. Those hexagonal shapes, they're actually like family crests, or a way for people to recognize which clan you're a part of. And what they're called is mons. And the clan that it most closely resembles is the Azai clan, which is kind of cool considering that the demons on Sesshoumaru and Inuyasha's side of the family are slowly dwindling out of existence. And the Azai clan was a clan slowly losing numbers as well. A tidbit I thought was interesting. For the black dress, it is not a black dress. For the black armor, I thrifted a black dress and then cut it up into the right shape, very loosely hand-stitched, hemmed it, and of course attached it to the white top with Velcro. And guess what? That dress has pockets. That was very helpful out on the convention floor. And then the sash helps keep the rest of the black dress on my body. So we're moving on to the sash. For the sash, I thrifted a yellow blouse and then cut up an old purple t-shirt from a place that my mom used to work at. The purple details I hot glued onto the yellow, and this yellow blouse was super ruffly and frilly and very structured. So when I went to make the bow, all I had to do was steal the ruffle that went down the front neckline and let it crinkle up the way it wanted to and turn it into a bow. That large bow is also safety pinned on so that I can easily tie and untie the belt without having to tie in a bow every single time. To the swords. His swords, we've got two of them. I'm not gonna try to say their names, but here they are. For the one that's slightly larger, I went with a Knight of the Round Table sword that I got from Target. I painted the bottom to be the right color and then wrapped the hilt in yarn to match the red tassels. The more samurai sword looking one was actually a green sword from either Boondocks or Chuck E. Cheese, something to that effect that my brother won at a game. And he let me borrow it, wrap the green part in electrical tape to hide the fact that it was neon green, and they fit snugly in my tightly tied sash. The pants were those white clown pants. They were nice, big, and billowy on me, so they fit pretty well the way I needed them to, aside from the waistband, which I took in, just adding a few stitches down either side of the hip to make that fit me, and I have had to take it in multiple times over the years as the elastic is dying. And instead of cinching in the ankles, I actually just tuck them into the boots that I wear. The boots I'm wearing in these photos are suede boots I borrowed from my mom. Alrighty, let's get to how I would make this costume now. For the wigs, I already own plenty of decent quality wigs now, and I am actually working on one specifically for ya boy, because this is a mess. For the makeup, I changed the shape of my eyes by extending the inner corners and drawing them straight down, as well as extending the outer edges and making them straight along the top as pointed along the sides to get that very boxy shape that he has. I also paled my lips with concealer. You of course have the red triangles going down either side. I followed along the shape of my cheekbones for the top ones, and then I made the bottom ones match that angle and length. And then the crescent moon up here. For the crescent moon and these triangles, I actually made paper templates for myself in 2016 so that I could get the exact perfect shape every time. And this moon proves that I probably should have done that again. Or even making a stamp. I feel like a stamp would be really easy with the crescent moon. That would be helpful. This came out a little wonky, but a crescent moon that faces towards his left. And also, bright red eyeshadow, because he's fabulous. And he does have really thin black eyebrows, but I wasn't gonna take the time to hide my really thick dark eyebrows, so I simply paled them up with some foundation. For this, as well as the other looks I've done of Sesshoumaru. For his Moko Moko, I would want to make it out of an actual long pile fur, and even though I'd definitely have to buy more than what I already have, I would like to make a lot of it out of my Lucy Lace Maker scraps since I have so many chunks that I couldn't put into that costume. For the gray armor, I very likely make it almost the same way, except for with high density foam, being sure to Dremel and heat seal all of my stuff. Seal it with Cosflex and then spray paint. And a clear coat. I did not put a clear coat on it the first time. So definitely clear coat if I'm remaking this. I'd be able to make cones that aren't spiral and actually stand straight up and meet at one seam, and then I can hide the seam, which would look a lot better. Instead of a cardboard center, I would likely use a Warbler center to give the EVA foam a little more structure. As for the attachment of this gray armor, I would likely use magnets or snaps because using the Velcro was absolutely exhausting with how often it grabbed at my wig and all the other things on the costume, as well as all the things in my bag or suitcase if I'm packing this thing up to go somewhere. I would avoid Velcro as much as possible redoing this. Water break. Ooh, water break. The snaps would also be included. Yes, that's the shoulder. That's the left shoulder. That's where that curve would be. The snaps would also be included between the front side and back side just at the edge of the shoulder here so that I could pop apart the torso piece and the shoulder piece and get in and out of the armor piece without having to be that one singular ring like I made the first time. As for the tassels, I likely would get better quality actual tassels, probably silk. For the white top, I would get proper silk so that I could silk dye the red parts into the costume. For reference on silk dyeing, I would send you over to Crescent Shay's video where she made her Genshin Impact cosplay. And that was what gave me the idea to do silk dyeing for Sesshoumaru. I would want to have a whole bunch of snaps and magnets to help hold everything up, and the white shirt would be where most things would be attached. His black armor I would still want to make out of fabric because of the comfort and mobility situation, but I would likely make it out of a thicker material, probably a sturdy black canvas, and then layer up more canvas for the petal pieces of the armor so that they swing with the weight and give the illusion of him wearing armor, while me still being comfortable in a fabric costume and not sweating my little tail off. Also, I would still want to put pockets in the black armor because that was a really good idea. It worked out so well. The yellow sash would end up being very, very similar. Same mustard yellow colored fabric, likely I would thrift it. Same shade of purple, likely I would thrift it. The only thing I'd really do different is hand sew in the purple details instead of hot gluing them on. Also, the bow I'd still keep the same. I'd still want it safety pinned and able to remove and make it easier so I don't have to tie a bow. The swords, I would likely order new ones. Ones that are closer to the proper size based upon my size. I also would want something that looks more like his swords, because I know the Knight of the Round Table sword, definitely not what we're going for. So I'd order different swords and then do little alterations that are necessary. For the pants, we would have the silk. I would tighten in the waist, tighten in the ankles, and we're back to the shoes. And I would still borrow my mother's black suede boots because they look enough like his shoes, and they're shoes that I am comfortable in. And that is how I made my Sesshoumaru cosplay in 2016, and how I would prefer to make it now, if I ever did. Sesshoumaru's cosplay is one that I would much more prefer to remake if I ever did redo a costume. So let me know down in the comments below if you would like to see me make a new Sesshoumaru cosplay, because that one might be fun. I love all of my amazing weirdos. I am ever so grateful for all your subs, comms, thumbs, and those dings. You can follow along with current cosplay builds and any updates on Ko-fi and Patreon. And welcome to the madness. So which direction does his shirt wrap? I don't remember. Hang on. It crosses to his right. It crosses towards the Mokomoko. Okay. Oh, those are my ears. I'm not used to wearing pointed ears like this. They are. So let me know down in the comments below if you would like me to see.